Hello, I'm Jake Garcia, and welcome to my visual mix project on racism in America. By now, you should have gone through and watched the two music videos and two skits I've linked above. If you have not, please take this time to go watch them, or at least the first 2 minutes of the videos before I get into my evaluation on them, which will begin now. So, starting with Johnny Lucas's video, or music video and song, I'm Not Racist. The video opens up with a white man unloading his frustrations on a black man across from the table of him. He takes on topics such as the Black Lives Matter protests, NFL anthem protests, and even takes shots against Eminem for his opposition of Trump. Following that, the black man reacts. He takes on white privilege, cultural appropriation, and attacks against former President Barack Obama in his opposition to the initial man's complaints. Throughout the song, both men insist, "I'm not racist." There's a reason I'm Not Racist is racking up millions of views online. It's driving a conversation about the state of race relations in America. A really raw conversation that shows just how far blacks and whites are in seeing things in this country right now. Lucas has made the song to force a conversation that nobody is willing to have in this country. Following this video, we have Childish Gambino, aka Donald Glover's "This Is America" song and music video. The "This Is America" music video is set entirely in a drab warehouse, with which some viewers interpret it as the country's foundation, built on a systemic white supremacy and oppression. Allusions to Jim Crow are made in the opening scene, where Gambino leans back into that Jim Crow stance, which was so infamous, before killing the guitarist who appears to be minding his own business without a care in the world. This can also be examined as an allusion to the senseless violence against African Americans in the United States. In addition, paying attention to the background of this video will allow you to see the police brutality occurring in the background, making further allusion to the constant mistreatment of African Americans by law enforcement in the country. Even when something is in the foreground, like the video, in the background there's always other things happening that people sometimes turn a blind eye to or simply forget about because they're coming used to it, which is very sickening. Following that, we were brought to the next video, which is the first episode of a YouTube series called, name of my project actually, called Racism in America. This is the first episode of the series. In the episode, we see the uncomfortableness felt by the protagonist in the episode, a black man who's waiting for a job interview. He arrives to the job interview and he's greeted by the secretary. The secretary asks questions that are very uncomfortable for him to answer, and while they're not outright, they're still inherently racist. Upon the job interview, the man who appears to be a boss of sorts begins their meeting with a discomforting statement. "You sounded like someone else on the phone." To that, the black man is confused. He doesn't understand what he means by someone is confused. However, he is hoping it is not as he can imagine what this man suggests. After some beating around the bush, the boss finally admits he expected the job interviewee to be a white man. He then makes matters worse, saying that he expected this because the man was so well-spoken on the phone. This quietly infuriates the black interviewee, as he questions the boss and says, and brings the point that because he was well-spoken on the phone, why does he assume that he is white? Is he alluding that because he is well-spoken, he could not have been a black man? Despite not being outright racist, these examples just go to show how racism is still alive and well in the nation. Despite the boss is not trying to outright make racist statements. They're just assumptions that he has made due to his upbringing that allow him to think this way. Finally, we're brought to the SNL skit "Voters for Trump." This is the final video out of the 4. In the skit, the message of the commercial opens with what is described as the opinion of real Americans. Despite what everyone is hearing in the news about the negativity surrounding Donald Trump, what are the real Americans saying about Donald Trump? They appear to be average Joe bipartisan views on Trump. As they're interviewed, it appears that they are all white people who describe Trump as a winner, authentic, and the only person who's actually created jobs before. These appear to be normal people and initially make the viewer curious as to what gives them these positive views on Trump. Upon a second visual of each of these, they show a dark twist as to why they believe this. The first man who was interviewed, who initially was wearing a white shirt, was shot above the chest reveals that upon leaning back, you see a Nazi sleeve with the red band across his arm, not previously seen on camera. The next woman who made the positive comment about Trump was initially ironing. It turns out, as in the second panning of her, it turns out she was ironing a KKK outfit, which, while satirical, the message of the skit clearly is saying that they believe Trump is appealing to the racists and Nazis of this country. That's all for my commentary on the 4 videos. Thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation.